and diversity. And so these are the ways we've tried to identify kind of what makes us unique and distinct, or who we're supposed to be in the world. And every time we go back to these as either like a community or the LT, I'm always reminded, like, yeah, I see these values playing out in who we are regularly. So that's kind of who we are. And the hope is that this is an ongoing story, that we haven't settled as a church or figured it all out, but we're learning together. So I hope that's a community we can be a part of. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, you can make me smaller. So now we're going to just kind of share some updates. I'm going to kind of go back and forth with Leslie on this. And then Greg, whenever you're ready to come up, and you're supposed to be ping-ponging with us too. So just some updates of the community. So we're 8 years old. I think we're approaching our 9th birthday this coming September. And probably a most significant thing about recent history is coming out of the pandemic and coming into this space. And this space has been a really great kind of restart to our community. And it's also our office space. Greg and I are here a few days a week, and it's a great gathering space. It just worked out really well. And it aligns with our values too. Oak Stop is a social enterprise that has an emphasis on Black business ownership, startups, and entrepreneurship here in Oakland. And so we're a part of that kind of ecosystem now, which is a great way for us, I think, just to be neighbors and to be in community. So now the next few slides are kind of updates and things that have gone on in the community in the last year or so.
Oh man, this is poor positioning. Let's see. So we have a philosophy of the roots and branches. Roots, the things that connect us deep in our faith, in our community, and branches that reach out and connect with others. So some of the branches, the extending out, as Leslie shouted out in our past, her coming on was in reflection of, or in relation to, a creek cleanup. And it's a beautiful time to just do work together. So we got some of that coming up. Let's see what we got next going out. Oh man, the Turkey Day. So since what, year one, we've partnered with the New Parkway and a couple of network of churches that gather turkeys and meals that we can give out to the community. Operation Cranberry Sauce is the title in which we promote, and it's been fun. It's hilarious to see. Not hilarious, but it does something. I feel some type of way when the community comes out and they're like excited to get their turkey. And they're like, yeah, I've known Chris for like 10 years. I'm like, we haven't been doing this 10 years, but okay, that's good. And it's right. But some of them we know by name, and we've just built relationships. It's been a really, really fun experience. Let's see what we got. Oh man, Oakland Pride. So I don't know how long we've been doing this. It wasn't year one, but pretty close to it. We've had a team of individuals, different leaders through different seasons of Oak life, responsible for setting up a booth at the Oakland Pride where we just give out water, and to see how much a basic need is, one, not addressed in such a big space where there's a lot of heat and a lot of other things going on. Just the opportunity to have water, it means so much to the people that stop. And it's been crazy to see people come in and be like, yeah, I'm checking out this church because y'all gave me water. And I was like, that's dope. Come to the water, I'm telling you. All right, next one. Third Sunday offering is something that was a brainchild of an early Oak lifer that said we should kind of, be about that business and give out. So every third Sunday for the length of our tenure, we've partnered with an organization that doesn't necessarily have to align with our faith, but does align with our values and how they represent in the community. And it started off just whatever donations we had in the present community we would give. Now we give 10% of our total budget to the organizations that we partner with. So for this month, it was the Black Liberation Walking Tour. Next month, it'll be Lyrical Opposition, nonprofit in SF that we've have ties with. So it's been really good to see what kind of impact that we can have in the broader Oakland communities and Bay Area communities. It's been fun. Any other thoughts? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. Any thoughts? No?
If you have ideas for a third Sunday partner, or you know a network or a group, feel free to pass it on. There's a team that decides that each month, but we're always looking for new partnership.
And if you want to be on that team and partner with the people who do that, because you're in the know about organizations that are doing cool things, either let us know or let us know about the orgs, or let us know if you want to be a part of the team. All right, and here's some of the partners so far. Black Women Birthing Justice came and dropped, Knowledge, Covenant House, Black Liberation Walking Tour, all good stuff. And then Roots Going Deep Together. You wanna speak on this one? Yeah.
So, as we talked about branching out and really extending out into the community, it's also about building down deep inside of the community here and making sure everyone feels welcome and has a place. And a lot of ways that we do that is through the life groups. And the life groups, they don't have to be all the time and they can just be for a season, but we have seen real friendships and real community built through these life groups. And some of the ones that are kind of long standing, like the LGBTQ life group, the hiking life group, even though I didn't even know like hiking was like a life group. I was just like, I have a life group now. But anyway, but like hiking, and then we're building new things like whatever your interests are, crafting, knitting, etc. So having these groups, and they're really community led, so it's what interests you and inviting people into your house or your home or meeting at a coffee shop. We had like a writing group that was really cool that met for a while. It's always a brainchild of the folks that are a part of the community and what interests them and how they'd like to meet other people and keep the community going. So we're always very grateful for what comes about from that. Okay, so in the same vein that we have the life groups that are the communities, like kind of the fun groups, we also all of our kind of structurally based portions of Oak Life are also basically a life group. So we have the leadership team, which is run by a collective of folks that are nominated onto basically the board of Oak Life, and that nomination then goes through an orientation process and an onboarding process, and then a 1 to 2 year commitment. And then we have the finance team, and that again is a group of volunteers who help to manage the finances at Oak Life. And our CFO is also leading the finance team. Hi, Mitzi. That's her. And in addition to that, we also have like Third Sunday group, right? That's the group that helps to pick the organizations, music and worship, because not only do they meet on Sundays to get ready, but they meet during the week. Sorry, not during the group, but during the week to have like hangouts and jam sessions and break bread together. And then also the speaking team. So the speaking team is the team, like you saw the panelists here. So these are people that are invited to speak at Oak Life and take that group hermeneutics, but then come and bring it from like the stage perspective. Oh, we also do a lot of cool, fun things. Don't look at me. It's like our art nights. And we've had like just, really interesting. I think the one thing that I missed about the art night was the comedy show where Charlotte gave like the best comedy that I'm never going to have that again. So, so it's always these really fun things that just like they live in the, what is that thing? The what? What you said? Yeah, the ether of Oak Life. They're just like basically now become like foundational, pivotal things. Like, did you remember this art night? And all of these are all brainchilds of people that come to the church and are like, hey, I would really like to do this thing. And then we'll get behind it and make sure it gets done. And then randomness. So Chris is really good about making sure that we have twice a month hangs, and usually it's at a local community hangout spot. So we were doing like the beer garden, and now we're doing the Temescal something beer garden. I'm trying to get us to go to Lovely's over there. I don't know if you've ever been, but they have really good onion rings. So starting to really just like making sure that, and they kind of know us because we're always there, and having fun and just getting to meet people and maybe winning a mug. Who won a mug? Anybody? That's right. That's right. Win those mugs.
Just highlight lots of the ways we've gone deeper together as a community. And this is something each February, we try to do something to honor Black History Month. The last couple of years, we've done a tour, which have been really good. We had like 40 people come to this one and something like that to the last one too. So we're always trying to find ways to not just go deeper in our faith, but deeper in the community, learning about our history. Here are the guest speakers we've had over the last 12 months. Some community members, some from outside. Also, this is, if you're ever interested in like, I think I would love to give a talk at church, or like, I want to explore what that looks like, talk to us. Cause that's one of my favorite things, is a space for people who haven't always had the stage to be able to share how God is true in their life. And it's always a gift. It's always a gift. Okay, so now we're going to invite Mitzi up to share a couple pieces of finance updates.
Hello. So we gave a big presentation just a few weeks ago, so this is more of a very summarized version, just kind of looking also to the next fiscal year that's going to be starting on July 1st. So this is just showing you kind of what we had budgeted for this past, or the current fiscal year, which is last July 1st through June 30th of this year. So we budgeted hopefully having like a bit of a excess. We have made less than we thought, but we've also spent a little bit less than we thought. But kind of our projected at the end of the year, it looks like we're gonna maybe be a little short, maybe like break even. We never really know, just kind of like what comes in. But that's just kind of like where we're standing now. All the numbers and things that we went through more in depth a few weeks ago are all posted on our blog that's like connected to our website. So if you want to look in more at that. And then the next slide looks at kind of where we're like headed in the next year. We also kind of talked about some things that we're planning on adding in the next fiscal year and like continuing to do. So continuing our like 10% generosity that we talked about, continuing to provide benefits to pastors, which we did for the first time this fiscal year. And then what you can't completely see is bringing on a childcare coordinator. And these are things that came out of like, as like everybody has kind of talked about, the aligning like how we're also using our money to like align with our values. And so those are kind of the things that we're looking to do this next year. But those do cost things. So with these three, that we're adding about like $25,000 to our budget coming in. So you saw on the previous slide that we're already like maybe coming in a little bit short, and we want to add to that. We're just starting our budget process, so this is no means like a final say, but just kind of like what we're looking at and trying to be like fiscally responsible, but also supporting our community at the same time. So just general, we are bringing in like currently estimated about $12,000 in recurring donations. So that's money that we see coming in consistently. And then there's money on top of that that's just kind of one time, but it's harder to like estimate those numbers. And we're looking at our expenses potentially increasing each month from about $16,000 to about almost $19,000 a month. So just kind of giving you an idea of what we're looking at and what we hope to do with our money in the next year.
Give a round of applause for Minty because all the work. I just want to add one thing. If you ever have questions about our budget, let us know. It basically is Greg and I get paid the same as co-pastors. We're about $60K a year without benefits until last year. And our benefits are very generous retirement, like stipend, starting seed, I'm going to stop, a retirement thing. And then the rest goes to rent here and like ministry expenses. We don't have child care director. We don't have a ton of fluff. We don't have a marketing budget. So it's a very streamlined budget. If you want to know anything about it, we want to be as transparent as possible. And thank you for all of your generosity to help make our community be what it is. So I said this in the panel earlier today, but we are a community that is unfolding still. And I think there's a lot of unique adventure as a community still ahead. So if you have ideas or you want to contribute or participate, we are an opt-in, opt-out space. There's no pressure. We don't have membership currently. So it's all up to what feels right for you and what feels like how you want to give back. And so let us know. This is a space that is open for our broader community. I will say this and then Do you want to talk about the leadership team? Okay.
Okay, so the leadership team is actually something unique to Oak Life for me, coming from other churches. And it really is a nominee and self-nomination works, but it's a nominee-based process where if you want to be able to see the behind the scenes a little bit more of how Oak Life functions and also help to contribute to the foundations of Oak Life, the leadership team gives you that opportunity. So it's a group of max 12 individuals, right? Like the disciples. And that includes the pastors. Very churchy. Anyway, but it's a group of 12. And those 12 individuals meet once a month. And then we try to have socializations. Thank you. Like socializing meetings, and we're trying to do retreats twice a year, but it ends up being once a year. So we do a retreat that's like an offsite for all of us. And what we try to do, in addition to just normal business, right? Normal business, which is like looking at spreadsheets. So if you like numbers, and also reviewing our documentation. So we have our bylaws that we have, and we have had to make updates about that. And also just making sure we're checking in on the health and the pulse of Oak Life. We're also trying to build and vision things. So visioning things like having a child care coordinator, having a child space, determining what is feasible in our budget, visioning even having benefits for our pastors. So trying to build the longevity of Oak Life and doing that inside of the board. That's really what it means to be on the LT. And so I've been on the LT for 5 years. I think 5 years. Yeah. 2 years as a member and 3 years as board chair. So I am sunsetting off. And it's a great opportunity because we're about to open up the LT for nominations for the next fiscal year. So really the process would be that if you're interested, you can either be nominated or nominate yourself. And then we have a review process. We invite you to an orientation. After that orientation, we have a short onboarding. You have a overlap with the current cohort, and then you start with your new cohort. And another thing that we like to build is I know it doesn't seem like that there's a lot of continuity. It's because we always wanted to make sure it's a new and inviting space. New and inviting because you're the ones who come up with the ideas that help to keep Oak Life going. And we don't want you to be influenced by, something that we've been doing for the past 5 years. We don't always have to do the same old things, right? So just very interested in having you on. There's also officer positions. So we have a position as a secretary and as the board chair. I think there's another officer position. CFO, right, which is already taken. And so, but there are officer positions, and then you can stay on for a little bit longer on LT.
Cool. Before Greg, going to take a moment to say something. Anybody from the LT want to say anything? So if you're on the current leadership team, could you just raise your hand so you can see some of the people who are... Anybody have anything to add to anything we've missed? Oh, thanks. And it's a 1-year commitment. We ask, again, it's opt-in, opt-out. So if life gets crazy, nobody's going to be, there's no shame of having to back out at any point. But to be on the LT, it's a 1 year. We ask a 1 year commitment, hopefully 2 years. And then if you're an officer like a board chair or secretary or treasurer, it's 3 years. And there are exceptions made, like during the peak of the pandemic, we didn't take nominations because it happened around that season. And we extended everybody's term an extra year because we needed some continuity. So Leslie is amazing. And this is Leslie's, she said, 5 years. It's hard to put into words how much of an impact Leslie's made in our community. Not that you're going anywhere, but a well-deserved break from some of that leadership responsibility. Leslie's carried us through the pandemic, through a class action lawsuit, through lots of interpersonal stuff with like our community and decisions, and what a gift you've been. So in honor of Leslie, Greg and I each wrote a haiku. Shout out. And they're closed this morning, but also a pretty generous gift card to Red Bay coming at some point soon. Okay, so you want me to go first? Okay. All right. Most badass board chair. You gave love to each root branch. Thanks is not enough.
Mother Nature sees, showering us all in love. Nature needs love too. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. That was a surprise.
All right, just one more big thank you, round of applause for Leslie and everything and all of the things that Leslie does and all of the rest that Leslie is going to get once sunsetted off. Thank you so much, Leslie. So voting items, we're gonna do a big vote? We don't have any voting items? Okay, all right.
But I did send out the agenda. All right, so now you're just going to see a little bit of our work behind the scenes. We have a normal agenda, and there are only two things that we have for LT Business aside from this presentation. So before I open it up to LT Business, I wanted to hear if anyone in the community wanted to ask us questions, anything that you heard today, anything you didn't hear. Okay, Chris is going to reference something. But anything that came up or hasn't come up that you want to talk about? Okay, yes. Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to let the LT maybe think about it.
So current or past LT members, something you're proud of that we've done as a community. Is that close enough? Yeah. So feel free to just share something you're proud of with the community.
Yeah.
Hi, Natalie, your student. I'm really proud that we continue to wear masks in church because it's really in alignment with our values. And we just keep everyone safe. And I think a lot of people have come 17 minutes over and it's not over. And I'm glad that we were able to make the church environment safe for people who are immunocompromised or experiencing disabilities, community members in general. So I'm really proud of that.
So,
Hi, my name is Corey, he, him pronouns. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is like just how much energy and heart goes into the background behind the scenes. When I wasn't, so my wife was on the leadership team before me, so I did get to see some of it. But being on it and like hearing about it through friends that are on the leadership team, it's an incredible amount of care and time and thought goes into just little things like this, where there's a lot of intentionality and like care for the community to provide this space, provide things like this, or the small groups, or different things. It's just I'm really proud to be part of a church that puts that energy in to do the work, to be a part of this community, and like support people. So I'm very proud of that.
Any other, open it up to the broader community too. Anybody in the community have a reflection back about Oak Life you would like to share? Cool.
my thing that I'm most proud of is another behind the scenes thing, but it's the board chair language. We finally voted on board chair language. It took 3 years. That's because, we have cohorts. But our board chair, we've been very intentional that the board chair is going to be a woman or non-binary person. And while we have like 2 cis het males who are pastors here, that board chair really reflect the diversity of Oak Life. And we try to do that in general in the nominations, but specifically when we have the board chair that kind of sets the meeting, calls things for voting items, and helps to lead the structure. We have been fortunate. Corey's wife, Sadie, was an amazing board chair. And then I followed after that. And then we're just looking for another badass to come in and then board chair for us. So just really glad that was something that we were able to vote on and work through and make it part of a new foundation of Oak Life. Sorry. So the 2 LT items for business is nominees for LT. So we are going to open up the email that and send it out so that people can either self-nominate or be nominated. Nominations can come from any LT member or anyone in the community. And you just put forward a name. You just say, I think this person would be great on LT. So we're opening that up. And that means for the LT members, we're going to be reviewing the nominations, deliberating, and then voting on them and inviting them to an orientation. So the orientation is usually for more folks than are actually going to end up on LT, because it gives you an idea to see a little bit more behind the scenes and determine if this commitment is right for you. We're also looking for board chair nominees. Those board chair nominees are going to come from the current LT members. And in the current LT members, you can nominate either a past LT person or someone currently on LT to be the board chair. We still have some open action items. So we need to create a source doc for life groups, and Greg's going to work on that. And then we talked about having a buy nothing group for Oak Life. And actually somebody just mentioned that to me. So funny. Anyway, sorry, just art imitates life. Anyway, but having a buy nothing group for Oak Life, because people have stuff, and then we'd be able to, we do a stuff exchange probably twice a year, more like once a year. But the stuff exchange are really great. And what if we could do that ongoing through a buy nothing group? In addition to that, we're going to have a trauma training for the LT and then try to record it so that we can have it available. So we're working through having that trauma training and getting that. And this is more like trauma-informed care for the LT and how to be better community members for the entire Oak Life community. Any questions about our LT business or open action items? Yes.
Sorry, I also thought we were going to be sharing our potential budget today,
That's good.
but I don't have it on like a screen. So LT members, I think what I'm going to do is maybe just like send out what we currently have. And so this is just for you to look over at your leisure, and we're going to be opening up any proposals that you would like to add to be a part of the budget. Those are going to be due by our next LT meeting in April. And so we can vote on our budget for the next year in May. So that's what I'm going to do. Send that out.
And to give a little background of how we do our budget, the finance team does an amazing job. They give 3 budget proposals. So a lean, like down to bare bones budget. They give a current budget, like if we keep things as is, and then we have a shoot for the moon budget. And so what ends up happening is that we have a hybrid approach between all of those 3 kind of braided together. And that's what determines what our budget is for the next fiscal year. All of our budgets are projections, and then we review actuals every quarter. And we sometimes eliminate things because we have really great ideas, but we have to look at what the actual numbers are. So in the budgetary proposals, what happens is that LT members may say, hey, I think it'd be really great if we were able to give a stipend to every life group, right? So we would add that into the budget and see if that's something feasible and possible. And we also do things on a trial period. So if we have a little bit extra funds, or we may vote to dip into our reserves. We haven't done that yet, but we could do that. There's always a little bit of flexibility that we try to have when proposals are coming through. So all of that we're going to do by email. And then when we review in April, that's when we're going to vote on our budget, right? May, sorry, my bad. You just said that. And so April, we're going to review the 3 line items, and May vote on it, and it goes into practice in July.
I'll share one last thing and then we'll be done. One thing that we didn't mention on the leadership team slide is the LT came up with a harm reporting policy, which is the first time we've had one of those, which is, I think, a huge step. Communities of faith have not done that well or not transparently addressed or thoughtfully worked through when harm happens, because it does happen. And so that is now on our website. So the policy and a reporting form, should there be something that happens within the community, we want to be able to be accountable and work through it together in love. So that's on our website now. And you can read the policy, how we the steps we take, or there's also the form should something happen. So if you ever need anything from the leadership team, you can just email leadership@oaklifechurch.com, or if you want to email anybody directly, their email is on our website also. Yep. Any last comments, questions? Yes. Thanks, Patrice. Cool. All right, well, let's close in prayer. God, thanks for this community. What a miracle of a beautiful group of people this is. We're so grateful to be a part of it. We give you the keys to Oak Life, Lord. Would you guide us, provide for us, grow us into a community that reflects your love more deeply. Thank you for all the people who have given of their heart and their time and the resources to grow this thing from a little seed to a tree with roots and branches that provides perch and shade for those in need, and also a space for us to be nourished and to find life and safety and healing. So thank you for everything you've done in Oak Life over the years, and we trust you for the future. I pray this in Christ's name. Amen. Thus commences our programmed meeting. Thank you all for being here.